Okay. Internal mic is working. Okay, so you're probably wondering, the Mississippi is about 61 to 65% across the entire nation. So what cities does it run through? So the largest city is surprisingly Memphis, Tennessee, a city in the southwestern corner of the state. The city lies along Interstates 40, 55, and 69. And the city, Memphis, has two major bridges in and out that cross the Mississippi. Interstate 69 bridge has not been built yet, but in the future it obviously will be. That is the Hernando de Soto Bridge on Interstate 40 and the Memphis, Arkansas Bridge on Interstate 55. So that means Interstate 55 crosses the river. It's actually pretty much parallel to the river when it's on the other side. And then it crosses it in St. Louis. But that's only the third. St. Louis, Missouri is only the third largest city on the river. Interstate 44 also runs through the city but doesn't cross it. 64 is concurrent with 55 on the Poplar Street Bridge, and another bridge connects it on Interstate 70, though I wouldn't be sure of what that is. Interstate New Orleans only has Interstate 10 running through it, and that's where it crosses the Mississippi River. New Orleans, Louisiana is the second largest city along the river. So you're probably wondering then, what's the fourth largest city? Well, remember when I said that, St. Louis is the third largest city? I actually lied. It's really the fourth largest city. Interstate 94, as well as the two halves of Interstate 35 West and 35 East, somewhere in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, as St. Paul would be the fifth largest, they cross. So it's actually pretty far up along the river. You wouldn't really expect it here. But you have Interstate 55 crossing you have Interstate 35 crossing the river. So you're probably wondering, well, what other major cities are on it? I have to be honest with you, there aren't too many other cities. It's like it's in Missouri, though, is Interstate 57, which actually does cross the Mississippi, as well as they both reach Chicago, which is actually along Lake Michigan and will not be counted. I'll probably do a Great Lakes video. So now you're probably wondering what's the sixth largest city, and then seventh, and then eighth. Well, the Mississippi is one of the poorest areas in the Central Valley, as in the part where Interstate 55 is very parallel to it. It's a pretty poor area of the nation, governed by the fact that between Interstate 155 and 412 on the Interstate 155 bridge and the Cairo, Alexander, Mississippi bridge on U.S. Route 60 and 62 into Cairo, Illinois, the southernmost point in the state, there's nothing. There is no connection at all from Missouri into Kentucky. It is a very poor area of the nation, so obviously not that many cities are there. So the range of interstates that cross it are surprisingly high. It's currently 22, but in the future will expand to 34. Now there are other rivers that are tributaries as well. For one, the Missouri River. The Missouri River, Interstate 35 crosses it in the city of St. Louis, while concurrent with Interstate 29 in Kansas City, which Interstate 29 is actually mostly to the east of the Missouri. Well, actually it is for basically the whole route. So it goes across Missouri, relatively parallel to Interstate 70, but but then it jupes up at the Missouri-Kansas border and continues along the Missouri-Iowa, Iowa-Nebraska borders, and even the Missouri-Iowa, no, Missouri-Kansas, Missouri-Nebraska, Iowa-Nebraska, and the Iowa-South Dakota before going along the South Dakota-Nebraska border. Actually, no, it doesn't go across the Iowa-South Dakota border. It just goes, and then it goes into the heartland of South Dakota and North Dakota. Whereas the Mississippi is more of a defined route. So Kansas City is the largest city, and there aren't too many large cities on here. I mean, you have Omaha, which I actually think might actually be the largest. I think Omaha's the largest thing. No, Kansas City is slightly larger than Omaha. And then you have and then you have pretty small cities like Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Wait, no, that's not on it. Oh, I'm telling you, that's so remote. Basically, nothing crosses it. However, Interstate 15 crosses it multiple times while it's in the state and on many small insignificant bridges as it's in the western part of Montana before it actually loops back into Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. So Interstate 15 also crosses it, giving it a range of 20. She's probably wondering, are there other tributaries of the Mississippi? Of course there are. One of them that sprouts out at Cairo is the Ohio River, which goes out to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Ohio River goes along, begins at Cairo, the southernmost point in Illinois, and it goes along the Illinois-Kentucky border, the Kentucky-Indiana, and Kentucky-Ohio borders, part of the Ohio-West Virginia border, before going into the state of Pennsylvania, meaning that it actually goes pretty far out. Interstate, this is also where the lower Mississippi turns into the upper Mississippi, if you've ever heard those terms. And it's also where Interstate 55, 59, no. So Interstate 57 doesn't cross it. Here's the thing. Actually, I don't really think Interstate 65 crosses it, but it's actually mostly like an east-west river. Now, I think Interstate 79 crosses it, which would give it a good range, but it'll be even funnier if we see it on the other side, right? Well, actually not, because Interstate 64 crosses it at Louisville, Kentucky, which is the largest city along the Ohio. Then it would probably be either Pittsburgh or Cincinnati, and there aren't too many other very large cities there. But in a future, Interstate 74 will have to cross the Ohio River, but it currently doesn't. Interstate 70 doesn't. 66 and 72 aren't in the area. 76 isn't in the area. And once you get to Interstate 80, that's like too far north. And south, you have Interstate 44, which is in the area, and 40 is just too far.